It is now my pleasure to invite to the stage the Honourable Peter Collier, Minister for Energy, Education and Indigenous Affairs. This is Minister Collier's first as WACSSO conference as Minister, but of course he's certainly no stranger to WACSSO, and we've met previously with Peter when he was the Shadow Minister. We look forward to continuing our established relationship with him as position, and in my opinion, and I'm sure it is also the opinion of delegates to this conference, education is such an important portfolio, and we're sure this is reflected in his continued dedication to this vital portfolio. Please join me in welcoming Minister Collier to the 2012 Annual Conference.
Thank you very much, Kylie. As always, very effervescent, energetic and knowledgeable. It's great to be around Kylie again. She's always a great advocate for parent body and for education in Western Australia. To Brian Ellis, my parliamentary colleague, to Alison Zamon, my parliamentary colleague, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be here, I really am. It's the first time, Kylie's correct, that I've addressed you in my capacity as Minister for Education, and it's a role that I absolutely love. I really do. I'm a product of the public education system from Kalgoorlie. I taught in the public education system, also taught in a private girls' school and a private boys' school. I love education. It is without a doubt the most significant issue within our community. It always has been and it will continue to be. So what we've got to do is to make sure we get it right. And the role that you'll play and the representation that you have through WACSSO is very, very significant in ensuring that we do get it right, particularly in our wonderful public education system. Now, education has undergone a number of changes, particularly over the last decade and beyond, in a very generic sense in terms of assessment, in terms of curriculum, and also in terms of infrastructure and funding for both the public and private education system. Never more profoundly than it does at the moment with regard to Gonski and what will emanate from the recommendations from Gonski from the federal government, which will be forthcoming in the next, I'm very sure, in the next week or so. Having said that, those issues, as I said, are very generic in nature, and they permeate right through each and every one of those sectors. In the public education system, of course, we have some issues that are probably more specific to the public education throughout Western Australia. With 771 public schools and 270,000 students, 35,000 staff, including 22,000 teachers, we have to get it right. We've simply got to get it right. We have a magnificent public education system in Western Australia, and what we've got to do is to continue to improve on the foundations of this magnificent system, and that's what we intend to do. So what I'll do, how long have I got, Kylie? I can talk to a paper bag, mate, so you tell me. Oh, okay, cheers. Worth it? Oh, really? I actually, it's a novel thing I actually saw on the way here today, and I had a look at my briefing notes, and it's got questions in there that actually have been provided for me, which is... We can do them at the end if you like. Yeah. Take note, Alison. Anyway, sorry, Alison's colleague, so you're well aware in the upper house and always does the right thing in that area. Can I just say, what I'll deal with is there are a few of probably the more profound issues that exist in our public education system at the moment. My view on where we've gone in particularly the last three and a half or 4 years now, and where we're going in the future. And I can't cover everything, I'm sure you're very, very aware of that, but I'll deal with the issues that I feel are most significant in your eyes as parents and representative bodies through WACSSO. Without a doubt, the independent public school system has been a great success in our public education system. It is a magnificent policy, it really is. It is doing exactly what it should do, and that is empowering local communities to have a say in what goes on within their particular area or within their particular cohort or their particular school region. The silo approach to education in terms of making sure that we do deal with individual schools on an individual basis is not anything new. It's not new. Although we have had very much a top-down approach in terms of decision-making with regard to education. That is, the department has fundamentally made decisions for each individual school. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that as long as they get it right. Now, one of the biggest issues, of course, that's happened with education is that over the last 15 years or so, parent bodies in particular, but the community as a whole and industry have wanted to have more say in terms of what goes on in our school. Now, they have had that say fundamentally in our private education system for a number of years, so they do feel they've had that say. And they do feel they've had that say also in the public education system through such bodies as the parents and citizens associations that you represent, etc., but not in sufficient quality or quantity. And it's very, very important that we do empower groups such as your own, but also the community as a whole, to have a say in what goes on within your individual school. And that's very important to me as a former educator, as having experienced both systems. I was very, very cognizant when I took over as Shadow Education Minister that we did want to make sure that we did, if we were fortunate enough to get to government, get to a situation where schools did have much more of a say in terms of what went on within their individual school environment. Now, I announced another 48 schools about a month ago that will have an independent public school status. And that brings to a total of 255 now in Western Australia, or around a third of our public schools. And I would like to get to a situation as Education Minister where I felt that all schools had more autonomy in terms of the decision-making process within their environment. That is, that they did have a say in terms of staffing, yes, within regard to staffing, with regard to behaviour management strategies, with regard to curriculum, with regard to an input from the local community, to empower local communities to have a say, to ensure that that community is very much a part of the local school community. You always have been, but it's going to be even more enhanced. And that's what the independent public school system is all about. The independent public school system is literally about empowering local communities to have a say within your school community, even more so than ever before. Now, it does come with it its problems. And I acknowledge that, and those problems have been articulated by, and quite legitimately, by a number of people over the last 12 months or so with the rollout. And where do we go from here? Where do we move forward? Because quite frankly, I'll be honest with you, there are some schools that are always going to struggle to take on the full gambit of an independent public school. They may not have the facilities, they may not have the resources, they may not have the expertise in the parent body, they simply may not have the capacity to be a full independent public school. And those schools should never ever be diminished in terms of the role that they play for providing a wonderful education system for the students within those environments. I'm very, very aware of that, and I can assure you I'm doing something about it. I never want to get to a situation where we have a two-tiered system of education. There were those Philistines out there for years that have said there is a two-tiered system in our education system between private and public. Well, those people haven't been into our public schools. They don't understand the energy, the expertise, the experience that takes place in our public schools on a day-to-day basis. There's not a two-tiered system in terms of the private and public system in Western Australia. Our public education system is world-class, and it will continue to go from strength to strength. Having said that, I do not want to get to a situation where you say, well, if you are non-IPS or you're not an IPS school, somehow you are diminished in significance, or you are diminished in terms of the role that you play in providing a quality education for our students. So can I say to you, we will continue to roll out the independent public school system, but at the same time, I will be announcing, certainly toward the end of this year, a system whereby we are acknowledging the issues that may exist or be created as a result of the independent public school system to ensure that every single school is catered for in this, within this policy shift. That every single school is provided with more autonomy, that every single school is provided with avenues for resources, but also for expertise and support. And as I said, we've gone past the point where you have a top-down approach. We will have a bottom-up approach where all schools feel they are part of the decision-making process, and that will be rolled out in a much more expansive fashion towards the end of this year. So yes, I do acknowledge the fact that we are, there's a potential for a two-tiered system to be created. I can assure you that is very, very firm in my mind that that will not occur. Having said that, I'm I'm delighted with the response I've had from the independent public schools in terms of the influence or the impact that it's had in terms of their decision-making, their impacts in the community. I'm yet to find anyone that has come to me that has said that they're not working or in fact that they don't like the policy. Those that are involved or embraced with the independent public school system are very, very supportive. So I hope that has to a degree placated some of your concerns and some of those, as I said, those legitimate concerns that exist. I'm very conscious of it, and I can assure you we're doing something about it to ensure that it doesn't occur. Another issue that's brought to my mind, and something that I was very supportive of, and I'm sure is you are very aware of, is the transition from Year 7s to secondary schooling. It's a very good policy shift. It is a very good educational policy shift. By 2015, 90% of all Australia students will have Year 7 in their secondary schooling. A number of reasons responsible for my enthusiasm for sevens into the secondary stream. It has occurred very successfully, dare I say it, in a number of private schools, a number of Catholic education schools, and also in